Okay, so the first modification I needed to do was to find another way of powering the CarPlay unit. Now, when I initially installed it, I was powering it from here, from the USB socket. Two reasons I didn't want to do that, or three really. One, they don't really recommend you using a USB because it can make them a bit unstable. Two, because I wanted to use that to power my camera. The main reason, of course, is that sort of when that's open, it's partially up to the elements. So in the event of riding it in heavy rain, there's a possibility that water might get in there, damage it, damage the wiring, damage the unit. So the idea was then to hardwire it into the battery. Now, I did initially think that I was going to have to take the tank off to do that, to route the cable, but I found a way around it by following this main loom and tie wrapping the power lead to the loom under the tank, tie wrapped up here, down here, to disappear into this side panel. That's got around that problem. So take the side panel off and you can see what I've done. The cable is routed down here. It's a bit on the long side and I couldn't really shorten it, so it's nicely looped up and tie wrapped. The box is stuck on top of the fuse block with a bit of double-sided tape, and the power supply for that disappears around here. And what I've managed to do is, inside the fuse block, I've actually spliced in the power supply into the live side of the horn circuit. So I've got a switched live, and obviously the negative side is then connected direct to the negative terminal on the battery. So that's made a nice little neat job, and everything works perfectly. So the C3 unit now operates directly from switched live, which is exactly what I wanted. This arrived yesterday. This is the new air filter cover. It's not a DNA. It's obviously been 3D printed, but should do exactly the same thing. Let's find out. So first things first, get this cover off. 5mm Allen key, one there, one there, one there, and then one of those pop things on the back. So let's get that off. There we go. Right. Not exactly rocket science, is it? The whole idea is this air intake is very small, so the whole idea is just to let more air in. I'm not going to go the whole hog and put the DNA filter on. This thing, as I said, this thing I'm fitting is not the DNA one. They are quite expensive. I paid 17 quid for this one. So there you go, 3 screws out comes the air filter. Might as well have a nice look at it while we're here. Looks nice and clean, fairly new. So that's it. Pop that back in, push it well in so it seals. There you go. I've got to get it in the right place, otherwise it doesn't want to go in. screws back in. It's basically a 5-minute job. Now whether it's going to have any effect, I really don't know. Only time will tell. Time and a road test. So that should breathe a lot better now. Hopefully. Otherwise I've wasted 17 quid. And it's not exactly a lot of money, is it? It's worth it just for give it a try, see what happens. There you go. So you can see the difference. Look at that tiny little hole. The whole idea is to open this airflow up, get more air into the engine. That's it. On. Going to go back. Pop it in there. Put the screws back in, that's it. Job's a good one. So the problem now is we've now confused the map. Right, so that's it. That's the new cover on. What we've got to do now is reset the ECU. Otherwise, it's going to be running too weak. So ECU is reset is quite a simple job. All we've got to do is switch the ignition on, don't touch the throttle, start the engine and leave it for 10 to 15 minutes, don't touch it. And the ECU will learn the new fuel settings, fuel air ratio settings, and adjust itself accordingly. So it should pump a little bit more fuel in there, compensate for the extra air. So that's it. That's the airflow mode. Okay. Well, let's go and see if the new air filter cover has made a difference. I've got to stop calling it a DNA cover because it isn't. Hard to tell initially, but I do think there's a bit of an improvement. It does seem to pull a bit better. It's going to find a few hills, and I know one in particular that will give it a real test. It definitely seems to want to pull away better from a standstill. That is definitely pulling better. I have to say that is an improvement. It is noticeable. Now coming up here is Slack Hill. It's quite steep. It's not massively steep, but it is quite steep. As throttle wide open, speed starting to drop off. Still only doing 45, but it does seem to be pulling better. Yeah, so on that big hill, I mean it was a bit of a challenge, to be honest. That was a real test. I did get further up it before it dropped down to 45. I think there might be a little bit more intake noise as well, but hard to tell because I've got earplugs in. Yeah, but on the flat it definitely pulled in better. I'm even going for an overtake, or perhaps not, there's a bend coming up. I never really wanted to do too much to it because I do like the lines of it as it is, but some things are a little impractical. So I've been buying bits from India. I'll show you what I'm going to do with it. So first of all, the backrest has to go. It doesn't really serve a purpose other than cosmetically it's quite nice. But I never carry a pillion, so it's surplus to requirements on that side. And to be honest, the seat isn't much use either, because no one's ever going to sit on it. And the other problem, of course, is that if I want to fit a tail pack or a top box, the backrest is going to get in the way, so it's going to come off. So I'm going to replace them with these, which are the grab handles from the Fireball, the basic model. So it's going to be like a cross between a Fireball and a Supernova, which is what it started off at. So first things first, get the old ones off, get the seat off, and fit these. And while I'm at it, I'm also going to fit this, which is an expedition plate to replace the pillion seat. Should be a bit more practical. So let's crack on. First things first, backrest off. It's got to slacken off the rear rack mounting. That's just so I can adjust it slightly, and when the rails come off. Okay, this is where all bits start falling out. That's where it all comes. Bits falling off all over the place. There we go. So, goodbye. I won't be disposing of that. Right, these out, plate on. They've given me a new set of screws, but I'm not sure why. Don't think I'm going to need them. This isn't going to work. You cannot mount the expedition plate with these. It will not go on. That part will, but that one won't. So we've learned something. You cannot fit the expedition plate with the handles. Right, so that has been a bit of a waste of money. However, it wasn't that expensive. So all is not lost. I'm going to put the pillion seat back on. I'm going to put these new grab handles on. So the original idea was to fit this, the expedition plate, in place of the pillion seat. Unfortunately we can't fit it because of these things here. If I fit that, I can't fit the grab rails, and I wanted the grab rails more than I wanted the plate. So for now I'm just going to leave it with a pillion seat on. What I may do at some point in the future is take the angle grinder to this edge and take that off on each side, and then it may fit between the grab rails here. If it does, great, but for now the pillion seat's staying. And now we've got the grab rails on, I've got a bit of room on the rack, so I've actually been able to fit a little backpack. So that's a temporary solution. At some point in the future I will probably get a top box, a small one, but I don't know. That's for the future. So for the moment, I think that's pretty much the modifications complete. Until I find some more. So thanks for watching. I'll see you next time. Bye.